What's going on, guys? Hit pause here with a video retraction. I actually want to take back what I said about cat motion and using this motion extraction node. It is thoroughly broken. Thoroughly. I'm going to remove the video where I suggest using it. However, I'm going to put this video up in retraction of that video anyway. In the future, most people are not going to see the original video. Just if you did see that video, there's not very many people who did. Just try this method instead. I'm going to attempt here to fix it. I have come up with a few ideas, but here's the fact. The motion extraction node creates a new bone that becomes the new root of your entire skeleton, which means that that must persist throughout every animation that you do and your skeletal mesh, everything. It's got to be present or it's not going to work. You cannot have different roots. That's blasphemy, okay? So this has to be on, which is working pretty much just perfectly fine. Let's see. If I go over here and I send him walking on a line, you can see he goes forward. And if I put on the root extraction node here, and we come out, zoom out a little bit, you can see that it goes with him fine, just like I was saying. Hey, that's no problem. But when I went to go do a little bit further, I realized it's broke. Like, it's pulling my pelvis over here to the rotated side. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that whoever originally created the cat rig system never really took into account that they dickered this up here in the rotations. We got -90, -90. This actually happens to be 90 and then turn 90, so it's the opposite of that. However, because it's done from the origin, it gets shifted over here, and the fact is things are still attached to it, and when I do this kind of rotation here, it seems to repair itself, but then when I go back to the keyframes, something weird happens. So like I'm saying, it's just glitchy and it's broken. So we don't want to use it. Now fortunately for us, turning it off does just repair it. However, we now don't have a bone to control the root motion, and here's the issue. We can create one. We can do it off of basically any bone. However, we do want to create one by making it off of something that exists on the cat rig already. And the reason is because these are in fact cat rig objects instead of just meshes and things like that, so they all benefit from the layering system, can be turned off and on. So all we need to do is come here. We cannot be in animation mode, so let's pop out of that and get into skin mode, and we'll come here, and now we can add a bone. Okay, and it got added, it's just not selected. And here's my new bone. You can see pelvis bone 002 here. Okay, so bone, same way I had it the pouch bone. That's the exact same way, except right now it's linked to the it's linked to the pelvis. Okay, so we need to reverse that. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to zero it out right here in all rotations. Okay, and like so. So it's completely zeroed out. It has nothing rooted to it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the pelvis and we're going to link to it. We can just do that in the newer maxes by dragging straight to it. If not, you can grab this select and link, and you would grab from the pelvis and drag to here. Now this isn't going to take anything with it. However, if I take this idle animation, I can in fact affect things. Now notice I'm not affecting the foot platforms. That's because the foot platforms aren't linked to anything. They're left out on purpose because it makes animating much easier. Okay, so this is now officially in control, but what's going to happen with my cat motion layer? So let's ignore this one. Oh shit, right? So this is a problem. Now, there's a couple of things to do here. Now, this is, I'm hesitant. I really find it very important in my videos that I don't screw anybody over by giving them just outright false information. This is part of the reason why I'm making this video. But the truth is for what I've learned so far, is that fixing this right now, right here, is actually the easiest. Instead of me showing you another thing that I tried that actually in the end didn't work. Maybe I'll show it at the end of this because it would be the natural thing that you might think would be the correct fix, but it is in fact not. So what I ended up doing was once I reapply this, you see that the motion layer just can't really just, you know, have that new root bone. The motion layer, here's the problem. The motion layer, this procedural layer, treats the root of your skeleton as the pelvis. That's the problem. It doesn't read just straight pelvis, you know, as like the hub. So it's just looking for the root. So what happens is you get bobbing up and down in this root transform bone when you create a new cat motion layer. I can show you that quite quickly here, actually. On a separate cat rig, I think it's safe for me to do. So I'll make a new guy here, and I'll just rotate him the same way here. And let me go into this mode, and very, very quickly we will add a motion layer, and we'll hit play, okay? And you can see, it's going no problem. So what I'll do is I'm going to dump this layer, go back into this mode, and I'm going to do that same thing here, just get that, come on, give me that. And we'll go into setup mode, we'll add the bone. It's in here somewhere. Okay, let's unlink it. That I didn't mean for you to deselect the, where'd it go? Okay, let me undo that unlinking. Let's go into wireframe here. Okay, did I end up making the, where is it, what is that? Okay, no, you just get out of here. I don't know why it's not undoing. Add bone. There you are. Okay, we're going to take the pelvis. Well, hang on, let me move it. 0, oh shit, hang on. No, align it. Not by orientation or anything like that. Just align it there so it's at my origin. Rotation, I never changed anything, so just leave it at that. In fact, I'll zero it out. Okay, now we'll do it this way. Okay, we'll grab here and we'll rubber band to this guy. Did it move it? Okay, well it moved it, but I'm still in setup mode, so maybe I can get away with that. But here, let's do this. I just want to show you what happens here. So when we come here and now let's add the motion layer, and we'll hit play, and what you'll see is that the motion of the hip here, see how the cat motion layer just doesn't know how to do this. It just doesn't understand that this is not the hip. It assumes hip is root. Okay? It assumes it. And it's why they created that motion extraction node thing in the first place. They just didn't make it work. That's all. So it's harder to animate with this kind of thing here like that, as you can see. Plus, we now have Dippy McDipper up and down here, which is going to be a problem. Okay? So we need to remove that, and we need to also, if we take this and we say walk on a line here, it does go with it, which is good. But again, what happens is it's swaying back and forth, so your actor is going to be moving left and right. Okay, there's going to be no anti-compensation for any of it. It's just going to suck. So we can't do it this way. So, and that's the only fault to using your own. Every other type of animation, like my roll and all that stuff, any hand animated stuff, 100%, no problem, no difference here whatsoever. You just use this if you want RootMotion to control this. However, you do need it down here. So the only thing you want to control with this is its ground movement, okay? Unless if this is a jump or a climbing of a ladder or something like that, you do in fact need it to animate up. Keeping in mind that Unreal Engine behind the surface is in fact keeping the character on the ground. It is getting rid of any of these roll rotations because they're not allowed. There's an upright spring thing going on that keeps your character upright, so that gets negated. Okay, its movement down through the ground gets negated because your collision cylinder hits the ground, so it can't go any lower. It can't go up because gravity is pulling you down. So if you turn your character to flying, it will in fact spaz the shit out. That's when the character will start swaying and swinging all over the place and just going crazy while it's trying to animate, and you're going to be really upset. So this cannot work. Just please take my word for it. It sucks trying to use that. And that's what we get when we try to reapply this. However, what we end up when I do it this way is an actual little bit of a benefit bonus. All I got to do is grab the pelvis here and fix it, but I can't. Oh, it doesn't do anything because this is cat motion layer. So simple fix, local adjustment, and I'll call this walk pelvis fix. I don't need any keyframes. I'll do this in out of auto key. There's nothing red here. Okay, if I hit N, wasn't it N? Yeah, N, this goes red, this turns on. I don't want that. I'm not animating. And all I got to do is I can just move this up. Now you'll see it is actually also misrotated. When I start to play, I believe, no, it's actually fine. I just needed to move it up. Here's another problem. You'll see that I'm not getting anything in my RootMotion node here, okay? Which in our case is actually a freaking blessing, because all I gotta do now is just animate this. Let's do this. Just for shits and giggles for now, I'll just align it here in only the X. Okay, and as you can see, well, hang on, it would have helped if I was in auto key for that, but it's easy because I can put it back here on frame 0 while I'm in auto key. So now it comes forward. However, we do need to change our curve here to be linear. If we look at just the X position, that has a blended curve. We just set that to linear, and now it'll follow exactly the way the animation was. Remember, cat motion, when he sends him down the line, it keeps a linear track here. So we just need to make sure that we maintain that underneath him. Okay. Now, unfortunately, the cat motion layer does not actually output us any tracks for the animation. Again, cat motion layer is a very specific system. It's only used to generate procedural walk and run and trip, movement cycles that work on a general, cycling basis. It's not something that is necessarily normal. It's a convenience. And the fact that it doesn't cover every single base for us is just kind of a shortcoming of it, and for us to expect it to is kind of us being a little pushy, right? I mean, it does a lot for us here, but we have to take care of some of this ourselves. So I do manage to able to take care of it, and again, this seems a little high, so when I go to animate this, I'm going to pull that down just a little bit because I don't want him hyperextending a leg. He's hyperextending that leg there, so he's still a little too high. There we go. There we go. Now he doesn't hyperextend anymore. And I have this moving forward. Now the thing is I don't think that my alignment was correct, because I don't believe that the X here is actually 0 at start, because it's not. So what I need to do is at the end, you see that I end up at 89.382 in the X, right? However, I come from already at 1.8. So I need to subtract 1.8 from 89.382 to find out where this shows up, because this starts at 0. It does not need to end up at 89.382. It needs to end up minus that. So what you can actually do, not a lot of people know about this, and this was a comment that I just got on my channel, and it was very handy, is you can hit Control N here, boom, and you get this kind of stuff. You can actually do a numerical expression evaluator. So what you can do is you can say, okay, well, here's this 1.812. Now just let me cancel that, because that gets locked in. So I got to figure out what I'm subtracting. This is the number I'm subtracting, 1.824. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come here, right? And this is where it's at. Now I need to auto key, and I need to come here, and now I'm going to come here, I'm going to hit Control N, and I'm going to say paste that 824, and I actually need to subtract that from the value I got here, 89.382, and that would be minus. And you can see the results, and then we just hit paste, and it pops it in there. And now it moves the same distance that the other one does. Okay? And we can confirm that if we're worried about it, because this is a new technique for us. 89.382 minus, no, not minus 1.824. We end up with 87.558. Ta-da! So we don't have to use a calculator anymore. However, the Control N numerical expression evaluator is kind of difficult because right, I can't click out here. I can't keep this open and go get values so I can paste them in here. So if I hit cancel, it remembers whatever the last thing I pasted was. So sometimes if you're going to do it like this is just a hint. If you're going to say, okay, I'm going to come from this point here, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to hit the numerical expression, I'm just going to paste that and hit paste. Now, whenever I come from anywhere else and I go to my numerical expression evaluator, that's already in there, and I can use that data by, you know, putting a subtract in front of it or putting a subtract behind it or whatever I want to do. So it's kind of difficult, like I said, because when you're in here, you're ding, 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 you're locked in here, and it's freaking annoying. You can't come out to grab values like it would be so handy to be able to do. Because it really, when you hit paste, in my opinion, if you've moved the time slider, it should do it on that frame. You know, this should be open. This should be just, you know, like right here, you know, ready to go at all times, like right in this freaking area right here would be perfect, in my opinion. I'd like plant it somewhere, but it's not like that. So, but still handy. And we now have our own new root extract node that's working just fine. Now let's see what that's done to idle. Idle shouldn't have that thing moving at all, and it should be at 0, 0, 0. And that's what's important, and that's what's happening. However, here we go into some possible issues. So let's unignore, and don't forget I have a pelvis twist here, so I need to make sure that that happens too. Now if we take a look, you can see that it doesn't do anything with it. And in this case, it's going to screw us over if it does. Okay, so this requires a little bit more of a delicate fix. Now this is only going to be a problem if you took my advice in the first place, and I apologize if you're at this stage, but this is why I'm making the video. This is what I've figured out I can do. Essentially, whatever this guy's Y animation is, I'm going to copy it, remove it, and paste it to this. That's the idea. Before I go on to fixing that, however, I know this is a kind of an abrupt cut, sorry. This has been driving me crazy. What do you do if you're one of those sorry people that is coming into this in the beginning and you have one of these, you know, you've created your own root because this is my, you know, would be my new root, and your motion layer is already screwing it up and you want to repair that. Trying to counter the movement that's happening here, given that, number one, it doesn't even give you a curve because it's all procedural, would be an exercise in just absolute idiocy. It's no way to do it. I wouldn't even attempt it. We need to just get it out of there entirely. So what I would try to do in this case would be, let's say, hey, I already like this thing. Don't worry about your cat motion layers, guys. You can save a preset. Okay, I already got my rat walk preset here, but I'll just call this test walk preset. Okay, save. And as long as you have, you know, a bone here and you're in the presets, you know, you can see it's there. So what's going to happen is I'm now going to unlink this thing. Okay, so what you can see is that it's pretty broken now, right? the pelvis isn't moving, the motion got sent over to the old root, which is still stuck in there. Okay, well, let's see what happens if we just go ahead and reapply our preset right now. Well, that didn't fix shit. So what we'll do is we'll dump the layer and we'll throw a new one in. Now, if you had some other layers, absolute layers on top, and you find, oh, I have to dump this, and let's say these are ignore, ignore, and ignore, and then I dump this layer. Well, you'll notice that I'm actually, well, no, I'm not really locked out of them or anything like that. But what all I got to do is if these are based on this in any way or on the motion layer, I can move it up quite simply just by hitting the arrows, right? So I can put it right back up to the top. All the rest of these are ignored. These were layers I didn't do anything with. And now all I got to do is just reload my preset, and it'll do it based on the existing linking. See, the thing is that the original was built based off of the weird linking. So now you're in the position that I was just in at the start of my rats, and all you got to do is move this. So if I take this and I tell him to walk on a line under the globals, you can see that just like I showed you guys on mine, it's not there. And the brilliant thing is that when you locally adjust it here by doing a local adjustment layer, if I were to, oops, I didn't mean to slap a key down, here to here, and just the X, right? You can see that I'm not overshooting the pelvis. The pelvis isn't actually, the pelvis is linked to this, absolutely. But because the motion layer is active, its motion is being taken over. So when this might mean that when we get to say like a new absolute layer, this, hang on, let me get rid of that. Absolute layer. Okay, let me dump the other layers just because they're confusing now for no reason. I just added them so we can see. Okay, so now we have an absolute layer, and if I move this, notice I like lost my control. But I think if I solo it, no, shit, hang on. Have we linked? I wasn't linked. Hang on, did I mess up? Oh, now remember, auto key off, adjustment layer, just like I had done with the rat. We got to move that back up to wherever you want it. I mean, that was, you may want to figure out what that Z position is prior, okay, to unlinking. But he's back, and now, you know, this movement here. And now, because it's linked, our local adjustment layer here, let's ignore that. You see that stays behind, and that did also pull him down because we moved the pelvis in that layer as well, so that whole fix, okay? And again, we got to make sure we are on a linear curve in all axes, whichever axes that may be. Linear. Okay, close that. And now it'll follow along exactly like I said. So if you already had it and it can, you know, feels, you know, like, oh shit, how am I going to get that back? Like I said, save your preset. Save your preset right here. Save it. Then you can load presets or open them or whatever, but all you got to do is go to the presets here and they should show up. Just say when you do save, don't change the folder and it'll be there. Otherwise, you got to figure out where the folders are. You can see the structures here, and these are the folders that you have in your Max directory. So just put them there. You can see that they got a few here. A bunch of them are empty. You can also get you know, here's your motion presets, and here's some that, you know, comes with it and stuff like that. So let's go now to, just delete that guy, seeing what we can do about fixing the roll here and getting this guy to follow along nicely. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what's going on here. Now the pelvis twist is merely rotating him, so if I ignore that, he's still actually moving over like normal. So if I unignore, you can see that it doesn't change position, it just rotates. Okay, we confirm that here. All right, so we'll keep ignoring that for now. And here's the thing though, we need to make sure we're on this layer when we're in the curve editor to make sure that these things are going to show up. So let me find the little thingy here to make that a little bit bigger. And we'll go boom boom. Okay, So green would be the Y position. We can take a confirmation gander at that by simply grabbing this keyframe and moving it. That moves him back. Okay. So what we can do, select all those, edit, copy. Actually, just to be certain, let's put the time slider at 0. I don't think that matters. Copy. Now, we'll dump them. Okay? Seems like a problem, doesn't it? Now we'll take this guy, Y position, edit. I think we'll hit OK there. That didn't seem to do anything. Interesting. That did not work the way I had expected. Okay, let's undo. I'll put the slider here. That way undoing will tell me when it's actually fixed. Okay, well, before we get rid of it, because here they are. I mean, I'm assuming that it's just edit copy. I thought that was what it was. Edit? Well, what else do we got? Copy. I mean, I can kind of cheese this, but I don't want to. I really wanted the edit, copy, and paste to work. +1 Maya, because it works there. Let me, without deleting it, let's just see. Y position. Let's add a key there. Boom. Just so there's something there. And edit. Paste. Okay. Up. Did it go the other way? Oh no, it worked. Okay. So now, I don't. You count me, guys. I don't know why that worked that time. And then, am I in animation mode? Why can't I? Oh. Move keys, got to right click that, get out of that tool, and then if I delete that, and then unignore, look at that, perfect root motion, follows exactly where it is because we copied the curve, and we're right back to where we were. Success, yes, right? Or am I wrong? That seems pretty good to me. So now I have root motion for that. Ignore, ignore. My idle's okay because it didn't need to move. Ignore. I got a walk pelvis fix, and it goes along forward with it. Okay, here's a problem. We did lose something. I believe we lost this ability. No, we didn't lose the ability. We just have to create a local adjustment that does it in the other direction. So this would be walk. This would actually be forward pelvis fix. And then this as a copy. And then we'll do, it's weird. I renamed it. Didn't I rename it? This would be like right pelvis fix. And this would be forward pelvis fix. So yes, you'd need those, and you just have, but it's, dude, the animation's so stupid easy, and you would want to ignore this one, which this was a duplicate. So all I got to do is take whatever that value is, and zero it out, and then make it negative in the Y. And I'm sure I'm going to have to fix the key, the curve. Oops. Just grab them all and hit linear there. Let's close that. And then we can close that. And there he goes to the right. So I mean, that took me a couple of seconds, so it's not that big of a whoop whoop, in my opinion. In this case, he happens to just, you know, move a pretty much a set distance every time, so he'll go the same distance. Now if I change that, you know, it's like if I say when he walks to the right, because you can copy and paste these and make different versions of the walk too. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. You can make different versions in different files and make them presets. I mean, there's a really lot of different ways to blend all this together. And again, this kind of thing here requires on the, you know, this would be walk right fix. This would probably require these things to be moved a little bit like that, and this maybe even taken down a spot, you know, to get a little bit better movement. It's not great, but it's doing its best. You can find the hyperextension points, and out of auto key you can kind of fix the position. But as you can see here, most likely I'm stepping too far. I haven't tuned anything. I haven't done anything to this. You know, this is just the first step. The feet go in the correct direction. Everything else is kind of up to you. And again, all I got to do is ignore that. And then put that back on. And then put this back to forward. Global 0. There he goes. And these all work too, like I showed. So there it is. This is a better way to do it. Just it is easier to do this in the beginning. However, like I said, it presents a bit of a problem with the cat motion layer. So in my opinion, you should unlink this, reapply the cat motion layer, dump whichever one you had, put a new one on there, and then load your preset, because you should always save your presets, load it, and then it should be working, and this should just be dead. Then link it, which should break this and pull it down, and like then you bring out this local adjustment layer, and without any keyframes, just fix it. Because remember, it puts it down here, right? Because it's like, hey, I don't know what to do, so just pull it right back up to wherever you want. Like I said, I think it is a good idea when you have this thing dialed in the beginning, go to frame 0 and copy that Z position. That way, when you do all of this and it gets to the point where it does do this on you, all you got to do is go back and paste that sucker, and you should be back to exactly where you were. To be honest, it should be exactly the same. And your root motion now, like I said, doesn't have any weird up and down motion. It doesn't have any weird rotation. It's got nothing in it. 0, 0, 0. Look at the X and the Z. It's just 0 throughout the whole thing. Another +1 for Maya. Live updates these values changing. Max doesn't change until you let go. That might be a setting though. But that's it. Hip signing off. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this helped. I will retract the other video, but I'm going to leave it up for just a couple of days, maybe 2 days, for anybody who got stuck to want to go back and reference that for something. But this is the new method. This is the better method. Don't use that root extraction node. That thing is terrible. Hip signing off. Thanks for watching.